Good afternoon and welcome to Tecman Talks Dynamics. I'm here again with long-time colleague Liz Delaney. And today the subject is something that's coming up more and more, which is multi-company group rollouts with an international aspect sometimes as well. We just want to go through because we're seeing more and more of these, Liz, I think it's fair to say, and more requests and lots of projects coming along where there's, it's not just go into one company, put the system in, end of. It's like we need to roll it out to these 6 and consolidate, and we want standardization across
something
them.
Which would have just been a huge headache and struck fear a few years ago is something that is much easier to access now, and we can do that.
Which is why more of them are coming along, I think.
So anyway, let's just take a moment to thank the marketing team for the new merch.
Oh, right. Yes. Lovely.
Yeah, we should start have a little web shop for these, shouldn't we?
Yes.
They're very comfy, good for working from home.
I'm sure this won't be the last time you'll see it on a podcast. So
yes. So
back to the subject in hand.
It would have been something that would have been exceptionally difficult to do. I've done them before.
Yes,
in the old Navision days, where I did a project it was a company based in Milton Keynes years and years ago. It's a German parent.
Yeah.
And the German parent had a database and wanted to use exactly the same objects in that database in the UK. The UK didn't like it, didn't fit their process at all. The German company tried to keep a core set of objects that was the same for all of its international rollout, but every single country ended up doing it slightly differently. They ended up with a mess and essentially ended up with 10 separate databases, completely different, all on different versions, all with different, just totally different. And that was partly because of local legislative requirements.
Yeah.
Which meant that they had to have us, because they insisted the worldwide database went in on all of them, they then had to have almost customization on top to do that.
Reverse engineer them back in. And those projects typically took years. Yeah, and they never finished. They were kind of perpetual.
And also because different partners were doing them. So most people will remember this. Table number 60,015 would be one thing in one database and something completely else in another.
So your reporting was screwed.
So the reporting didn't work either.
So the modern SaaS world is very different, and I think it's I think this has happened by mistake for Microsoft. I think they've architected the SaaS platform the way that they have in order to enable easy updates and lots of flexibility. And I don't think it was an objective for the BC team to make international rollouts for multi-country, multi-company projects easy. Actually, I think that probably at strategic level in Microsoft was penciled in against F&O, the enterprise product. But actually, they have made it easy because, on your SaaS platform, you can have multiple instances. So you can buy an additional instance, and one can have, the GB localization, another one can have maybe the North American localization, and another one can have the Romanian localization, and another one can have wherever else you need it. And then you've got those all, and the licensing works as well, isn't it? Because if you have a user SKU for and they've now just adjusted that as well. So some of your users can have an Essentials SKU and log into the Essentials database instances, but some of them can have a Premium SKU and log into the Essentials and the Premium instances as well. You didn't before. If you had one manufacturing organization in the group, everybody had to have a premium license, which put a massive up on that. So that's been sorted out from a perspective. And I think Microsoft are waking up to the fact that there's a huge opportunity here, and you can do rollouts across multiple companies in months rather than decades, which was probably the previous experience.
Yeah, I had a phone call last week from a guy I'd never spoken to before, who'd been given my number by an existing customer. And he spent about 20 minutes telling me what they were looking to do. And I was going, yeah, we can do all of that, we can do all that, we can do all of that. It was an international rollout, US, UK, and a couple of European countries. And and then about 20 minutes into the conversation, he mentioned F&O. And I said, we're not a F&O reseller. He said, we've already decided we want F&O. I said, but you've just spoken to me for 20 minutes and I've said we can do all of the things that you want to do. You're not it wasn't a huge user count, only about 100 users.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, but BC can't do international projects.
That's a historic perception.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's kind of, you are out of date if that's what you think.
And he was very much, well, the board has taken the board has decided, so we're definitely going with F&O. And I said, well, I suggest you get back up a rethink, because we just spoke for 20 minutes and I've said we can do everything that you've asked for.
And what does the board want? Does it want a higher cost?
Yeah.
Because I think even the F&O partners I talk to are higher cost.
Adding a zero.
Higher, it's a higher license cost, and it's going to be a higher consulting cost to roll out F&O. And if you need F&O, fine, but it's not a reason for multiple countries. Just go ask how many countries F&O has an authorised localisation for now.
A lot less than BC, I'd imagine.
But Microsoft are now in the situation with BC where they are now counting the number of countries left rather than the number of countries they've done. We're in the hundreds in terms of countries where there's a registered localisation.
And of course now, obviously the situation I had years ago when I did this implementation with the German partner that I talked about, and they were trying to keep this core set of objects exactly the same, even though all of the countries had slightly different requirements. Now we're in the world of extensions. You can use an extension in one environment and not in the other if it's not appropriate, so people can have, because nobody wants to be fighting, and that's what was happening. The UK team were fighting against the solution that was wrong for them. And obviously you can imagine the distress that it caused in the organisation.
Yes. And you spend more time talking about that than you actually do pushing the project forward.
Yeah, exactly. And it caused a lot of issues with the team members there. They felt very, not listened to. Whereas it will be so different now, because they would have their UK localisation, so they'd have the things that at the time would have been missing, and there was quite a lot at the time that was missing, that was part of localisation. Some of the localisation was now in the standard product anyway. But they would have had that, and they could have had an extension built that matched the unique, because they were a different business.
And when you had a set of objects that you had to send out to all the different partners to go and implement in it. Now with, if you've got 8 instances with 8 different countries on the SaaS platform, effectively, you can deploy from DevOps automated deployment of a fix, and you can put it in all 8, and that's one button push.
Yeah.
Whereas that would never have happened.
Yeah.
If you've built automated tests, which, is the other best practice that I've banged on about quite a bit, and it makes much more sense in an international deployment. You can do the change to fix the bug today, check it in, run all your pipelines overnight. Tomorrow you get back, all my tests have passed, or this test hasn't, and I need to go fix this, and that's another cycle. And then the next day you've got it deployed, and that problem goes away so much faster than historically, where that would have taken weeks and months and lots of project management.
And some it would never have ended up in.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden,
why was that missed? And I was away that week. And of course,
you can keep them all on the same version because of the automated rollouts, because of the updates, rather than having to have 9 different upgrade projects in 9 different countries done by 9 different partners. which, if you think about how long upgrade projects used to take, is probably like a 2-3. By the time you've got them all upgraded, you'd all be out of date anyway.
It was in the UK what we refer to as the fourth row bridge problem, which I think every country in the world, I think, has got a bridge where they start part painting at one end, and by the time they finish the other end, they go back to the start.
It's like your house, James.
Not quite. That's the problem with my paint.
By the time you start doing the east wing, the west wing will need doing.
Yes. That's the problem with the painters not being bad. Let's not talk about that. Thank you, Liz. But it's it's so much fun. The other major advantage, I think, of this model is reporting. I mean, cross-organisation reporting. One, you've got a SaaS platform. So availability is there. There is a question about where you put the instances. So, we're here in the UK. So typically our Business Central instances will be created in UK South. Yeah, but of Microsoft course Data Center.
Countries. But
we can do a French one and a German one in that UK South. So if you've got a UK company with a couple of other European countries, they can all be in the same data center. That means that they're all there. They're obviously backed up to a different data center and all those, but reporting across those is there. Now, if you're, for instance, in the other side of the world, so if you've got a subsidiary in, the classic one is in China or somewhere like that, where the latency for connection across, so there can be latency issues around, it's partly to do with the Great Chinese Firewall getting through that. So anything outside of China is a problem for anything inside of China. But a little bit careful, but I mean, we've run Australia, the US and the UK from the UK data center successfully. You've got all three instances next to each other. That means you can connect to all three, pull data out of all three. Potentially in the UK, you can look at availability. You can do a call across, look at availability in Australia and the US, and decide your global purchasing requirement from your sourcing company in Taiwan or wherever. What's kind of interconnection
missing? What's really missing from the standard product is any way of controlling the master data other than manually. For example, if someone adds a new GL code in one company, it doesn't necessarily. There's no way in the standard to kind of replicate it across
instances. So they introduced in 22 that you could replicate across companies. But you can't have one company in an instance that's US localization and one company. The localization is per instance, not per company. So if you're international, you need different instances for which there is a cost, but it's not, that's, nobody's ever said to me that's unaffordable if that's what you need. So yes, they need to redesign that piece so that, if you create a dimension value in the group holding company, that replicates down to all the subsidiaries. Yeah, I mean, there
are third-party apps that can help with that, but I think to be truly ready for international rollouts, it would be nice to have a little bit more around intercompany functionality and replication of data in the standard product across tenants.
For those projects, there's 2 or 3 ISVs which are pretty much always on the list, aren't they?
And we, and they're good products, but it would be nice to have it so it was a more complete product. And I think there's still a case when you're doing international projects, obviously, of needing a local partner. I think for user adoption, for cultural reasons, for language, compliance,
time scale as well. If we're supporting Australia, I really don't like the Australians get me out of bed in the middle of the night to ask a start of day question.
So there's some consideration to be given around how you build that network of partners that can work together on us, and rather so that the solutions don't all go in different directions.
And with my directions hat on, I think our community, the partner community, has got some maturity to do in terms of standardizing how partners work with partners. Because there are a few of us that know each other and have worked with each other repeatedly, and we work really well together. But that network is going to have to expand and need some kind of standardization around that whole work. So I think I know discussions are ongoing around that about what the possibilities are and how that might work and so on. But because the other thing is clients, typically these projects, they want concurrency in the project. They don't want to wait till one country's finished before they do the next, because that just takes too long. And they want to, if they're going to roll out this solution, they want it done by the end of 24.
Yeah. And well, we don't want an F&O size 6-year rollout. Yeah. The idea is that it's efficient and it's fast and it's agile, but it still meets the requirements of the local business, so that all of the local businesses can run as efficiently as they need to.
We were talking to a prospect earlier this week. They've already got NAV in, I think, 13 instances, but they've got Sage and a whole bunch of other stuff. They want to roll it out to 26 UK companies, and then some in Germany, one in Romania, Denmark, a bunch of other countries, the group at FD was sitting there, CFO was sitting there saying, could we get this done by the end of 24? Now, most of us in times gone by would have smiled and laughed and politely said no.
Apart from our salespeople who would have gone, no problem.
Just sign in. But in reality, that wasn't remotely doable. Now we're talking about, as long as we get the project spun up, and you get the template, the standard built relatively quickly, then you can do it and you can run those out, because the more standardized implementations that we're doing are rolling out in 3 to 4 months. And as long as you have a central team that's managing, that talks to Germany one day, Denmark the next, Romania the next, and does it concurrently. Actually, that works.
It's really important, isn't it? How you structure the rollout, how you work with the partners, and how you communicate down to.
Don't think that the cost of that project is going to be just. The cost is structured differently for me, because there needs to be a significant part of overall governance. Somebody needs to be in charge and monitoring what's going on both sides. Yeah. But what you do is that, where the saving is if you created that template and that template is right, then there's a lot of legwork that's saved in each of the individual implementations. So if you do it in 26 that I've just mentioned, it's not 26 times the cost of a single implementation in strike the right way, but it's not kind of do the first one and then all the subsequent ones are half what the first one was, because the governance of managing and keeping them all online and on track and on target is a proportion on top of the work that still needs to be done in each local entity. So I think it's really, and I think this is, again, I'll be slightly controversial and say, I think Microsoft is jumping on board. They have this new Concierge program that they're running for larger implementations. And larger implementations in their world is two ways. They're Microsoft, so they care about the dollars, right? So it's how much you're going to spend.
It's the big ones, basically.
Yes, it's the big ones.
The big single implementation.
I think the criteria, I don't think I'm talking out of court, is if the client is spending more than $100,000 per annum on Microsoft Cloud licensing, then they can get onto that Concierge program. And that's talking about large single instances, which we should do another podcast about, what you have to do to deploy Business Central in very high transaction counts and what's different there. Have we done one of those? Did we do one of those as well? We should definitely talk about that at some point. But the other one they're doing is okay, we've got all these subsidiaries, trading entities across different countries. Once we put all those together, what does that look like and how's that transact? So I think they are definitely jumping on board. They're spotting the opportunity and whether that can flex with F&O. Well, in my view, the client should look at both and decide the best product for them. I'm clearly biased, but it's the right thing. And actually, if F&O is the right product for the client, I'd prefer not to have that client because it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So thank you again for listening to us rambling on. I hope it's been caused you some ideas and some aspects. And if you have some international entities that are running on different software, or you don't have, you can't monitor and report on as tightly as you would like, give us a call. Let's see what we can do. Thank you.